Hey there, YouTube. Myron Golden here. Gas prices are up, stock market's down. What do I do? Well, that's what this video is about. This video is about how to take upsets and turn them into assets while they're absolutely crushing everybody else around you, so you don't have to end up a statistic or a victim of circumstance. Let's go.
There's a giant. Yeah. Here we go. You see, I got where I am because someone reached out a hand. Help me to stand, be an independent man. Because I'm standing on the shoulders of a giant. The shoulders of a giant, y'all. I'm thankful.
How do you turn an upset into an asset? And the reason, before I tell you that, let me tell you why you want to turn an upset into an asset. You want to turn upsets into assets because, as Daniel Priestley says, income follows assets. So the more assets you have, the more income you have. And the more income you have, the more choices you have when things go, quote, wrong, so you can go find solutions for those things. And so I noticed that gas in some places is above $6 a gallon, in most places above $5 a gallon. People are freaking out. In fact, I filled up my car a couple weeks ago. I was at the gas station, and some guy who was at the pump beside me, he's like, wow. And I was like, wow, what happened? He said, man, it really takes a lot of money to fill up your car. And I truthfully didn't even notice until he said that. And so I looked at it, and I thought, how much was it? Like, I'm like, what just happened? And it was like $95. And so when most people think about spending money, like $95, to them, it's just, to fill up their car with gas, it freaks them out. Why? Because most people pay for things with money that they've exchanged their time for, which means they basically use part of their life to pay for that gas, right? But entrepreneurs we don't pay for stuff with money, we pay for stuff with creativity. We create value for other people, turn that value into an offer, make that offer in the marketplace, and then people pay us. I'm gonna show you what I mean about that in a minute. So I recently read a book called Anti-Fragile. And what you want your finances to be, you want to have anti-fragile finances. You want to be an anti-fragile person. If a person is fragile, that means they break easily. Or if something is fragile, it means it breaks easily. If you're non-fragile or not fragile, that means you don't break easily. But you don't want to be fragile or non-fragile. You want to be anti-fragile. What is that? That means the things that break other people actually make you stronger. The analogy the guy gives in the book is this. He's the same wind that extinguishes a candle feeds a forest fire. So what's the moral of that story? Don't be the candle, be the forest fire, right? Be the person for whom that wind that destroys other people and sets them in a place of like, oh, I'm gonna lose my mind, I don't know what's going on. That very same thing makes you stronger. So I'm gonna show you the 3 things that you need to have to take upsets and turn them into assets. Because yesterday when the stock market, the Dow went down 873 points, I think it was. The NASDAQ went down 530 points, and the S&P 500 went down like 150 points yesterday. But even though the stock, it was like the biggest loss that some of those indexes have had since January of this year, and now we're in June. Well, guess what? That same day, on one account, one of my trading accounts, we actually took off the table $694,000 that day. And on another account, $35,000 that day, for a total of whatever that turns out to be, like, what is that? $724,000 in one day. And in the last 3 days on the market, not including today, because we're already up today, but not including today, we did over $1 million in the stock market in the last 3 days. And guess what? That's not even my best money-making strategy. That's not even, like, trading stocks is just something I do every now and then. We have ways of making money that are way more powerful than trading stocks. So, what you want to do, so the gas prices are up, right? So gas is up to what? Some places, it's up to $6 a gallon. Stock market is down. Stocks are down. Stocks are down. I mean, way down. Like Dow Jones, 870 points. NASDAQ, 530 points. S&P 500, 150 points. That's a lot for the market to be down. But yet, not in spite of the fact that the market went down, because the market went down, we were able to do over $720,000 in revenue in one day. It's almost $1 million in one day. But see, that's why I say that's not even our best strategy for making money, because our best strategy for making money is business. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about business, it doesn't matter if you're talking about the stock market. If you're gonna take upsets, and turn them into assets, how do you do that? I'm going to show you. Here it is. Number one, you have to have the right mindset. It doesn't matter, like you can have two people in the same business and one of them's going to lose money, one of them's going to make money. Why? Mindset. You're going to have two people that are in the same stock, one of them's going to make money, one of them's going to lose money. Why? Mindset. You have two people with the exact same opportunity. One of them's going to make money, one of them's going to lose money. Why? Mindset. So what is the mindset that you have to have? You have to have an anti-fragile mindset, which means you have to make a decision that you are not ever the victim of any circumstance. Like, I'm not the victim of any circumstance. There are things that will happen to you in your life, and you don't have control over those things. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. There are two types of factors in the world. There are contributing factors, there are determining factors. And most people, like the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism, the news, the government, the miseducational, misdirectional system, they would have us to believe that contributing factors are determining factors, but they're not. And what do I mean when I say contributing factors? The economy is a contributing factor, right? That's a contributing factor. I'll just say it. Racism is a contributing factor. Right? It's not a determining factor. In fact, racism wasn't even a determining factor for people who were slaves. What do I mean by that? Because there were people who were born slaves who made themselves free because they had the mindset that this is not how I'm going to live my life. In the movie Harriet, she was on the bridge and she was about to be captured, and her master was trying to talk her into going back, and she said, "I'm going to live free or die," and she jumped in the water. What was that? Mindset, right? If you refuse to be a victim, you cannot be victimized, right? And so you want to make sure. I had polio as an infant, and I had polio as an infant as a direct result of racism. But that is a contributing factor to my life. It is not a determining factor to my life, right? And so what do I mean? What's the difference between a contributing factor and a determining factor? How can I tell the difference? Contributing factors are all outside of us. So they contribute to our lives. Contributing factors are all outside of us, and we have no control over most contributing factors. Determining factors are inside of us, and we have control over all the determining factors. That's why it matters more who you are when something happens to you than it does what happens to you. Oh, I hope y'all picked up what I just put down. So wrap your mind around this. Like you're not a victim of circumstance. Think about the word circumstance. It's a compound word. It comes from the word circle, and it comes from the word stand. So what is a circumstance? Circumstances are those things that surround you while you're standing still. So what do you have to do? You have to have the mindset of somebody who keeps it moving. So when you move over here, you are no longer under the same circumstance. What do you have to do to change your circumstances? Keep moving until you're no longer in the circle. It'll change your life for the rest of your life. Okay, so you have to have the right mindset. Number two, you have to have the right skill set. And it could be skill sets, but you have to have the right skill set. So I'm going to put skill sets. What is a skill set? A skill set, like a mindset your mindset is in your head and in your heart, right? But your skill set is in your hands. Like you have to know how to actually do something. You have to actually be good. You have to actually have the skills to bring value to other people in the marketplace in order for you to turn upsets into assets. So in order for me, when the stock market's crashing like crazy, in order for me to turn that like tragedy, oh man, there's blood in the streets, in order for me to turn that into something profitable, not only do I have to have the right mindset, I actually have to be able to do something about the mindset that I have. I have to have a skill set in my hands. I have to be able to execute, right? It's so fascinating to me that in the Bible, the Old Testament, the Old Testament word wisdom would be translated not into our modern day word intelligence, not into our modern day word IQ, not into our modern day word smart, but the word wisdom in the Old Testament would be translated into our modern day word skill. So you have to have the mindset, you have to have the skill sets, and then the next thing you need to have the tool sets. You need a tool set. So what's a tool set? A tool set is leverage. And the beautiful thing about leverage is this. Leverage means a small input equals a magnified output. That's why in the stock market, for instance, as an illustration, I like trading options. Why? Because a small move in the price of the stock equals a magnified move in the price of the option. I don't expect you to know what that means. It's irrelevant. But I expect you to understand this, though. It means I have leverage. Right? And anything you can do to gain leverage, owning a business gives you leverage. If you don't own a business, you have no leverage. You don't have financial leverage. If you don't own a business or you don't have any investments, you have no financial leverage. So you want to own a business of some kind, even if it's a business that you build part-time, you want to have a business and you want to have some investments because that's how you create leverage. I love what Archimedes said. Archimedes, mathematician, he said, if you give me a lever long enough and a prop strong enough and a place to stand, he said, I can single-handedly move the world, right? But guess what? When you have a lever long enough and a prop strong enough and you're single-handedly moving the world, you're a very happy person. But guess what? If you don't have a lever long enough and a prop strong enough, you have no leverage. In fact, worse than not having any leverage, you are somebody else's leverage. So you either have leverage or you are leverage. And you have to decide which one you're going to be. Are you going to be Are you going to be leverage for somebody else? Or are you going to create leverage for yourself and for your family? So how do you turn upsets into assets? You develop the mindset that won't allow you to be a victim. And when you look at a circumstance or a situation in life, you will know that you are always bigger than your circumstance. And I remember when I was a little kid working on this car with my dad, and y'all have heard me tell the story before, but I'm going to tell it again. And we were working on trying to get this exhaust manifold out, and this rusty old bolt, and it wasn't coming off. It was time to break for lunch. And I said, Dad, it's not coming off. He said, oh, it's going to come off. He said, it ain't got no choice. And he said, son, you know why I don't have a choice? No, sir, because we have a brain and it don't have a brain. I'm like, okay. For the rest of my life, that's been my mantra. Like, I can figure this out. Why? I have a brain, it doesn't have a brain, therefore, I can figure it out. So whatever you face, if you have the right mindset, and you have the right skill set, and you have the right tool set, which is leverage, you can single-handedly move the world. It's so interesting. I do this illustration at my seminars where I say, okay, I asked for somebody who was a track star in high school, right? And so I get somebody, track star, they'll come up and they'll be on stage with me. I'll say, okay, let me ask you a question. Can you run a mile? They say, sure. I'll say, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get in a race. Now I have a brace on my leg. You don't have a brace. I've got a brace, but we're gonna have a race, okay? And I say, here's what we're gonna do. Let's do a mile race. So you run a mile, I'll go a mile. But that doesn't seem fair, does it? No, that doesn't seem fair. So why don't we do this? Why don't you run a mile, I'm gonna go 2 miles. They're like, oh, did my dyslexia kick in again? And so I say, well, anyway, I'm a person of my word, so I've got to do it, right? And so I say, if I get in a race with this person who was a track star, well, then obviously, and I've got a brace, they don't have a brace, and now I'm going twice as far, obviously they're going to win unless they're running and I'm on a bicycle, because I said they're going to run a mile, I'm going to go 2 miles, right? And then I say, well, that's not fair. I have a bike, they don't have a bike, so let's give them a bike. They go 2 miles, I go 4 miles, they still win unless I'm in a car. Well, that's not fair, so we give them a car, and I have a car, so we both have a race, and they go 50 miles, and I go 100 miles. They still win unless I'm on a plane. And then I say, well, that's not fair, so we give them a plane. They get on a plane. They go 100 miles. I go 200 miles. They still win unless I'm on a jet. And so I do that illustration over and over and over again to show this. You can always make up and leverage what you lack in ability. And the problem with most people is they spend too much time working hard at what's not working instead of looking for leverage that would make it work sooner so they can get on to the next thing, right? So my challenge to you when it comes to mindset is develop the mindset of a winner, not the mindset of a whiner. My challenge to you when it comes to skill sets, find leverage, don't just be leverage. And when it comes to tool sets, learn how to use technology. Learn how to use technology as leverage so you can have a small input with a multiplied output. And if you will do that, you can you can get to the place in your life, if you got a business, we did whatever that was, over $1 million in the last 3 days in the stock market, but we did over I don't even remember how much it was, $2.5 million from our business in the last 3 days as well. Business is way better, it's a better, more consistent leverage. So I don't trade stocks, I don't trade options every day, but I'd work on some aspect of my business every day, and more importantly, I work on some aspect of Myron every day. So I hope this video helps you turn upsets into assets by using your mindset, your skill set, and your tool set, because income follows assets. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment, ask a question. I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.